Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Ansarkari. I am Vikas Bhardwaj. Now this series on economics is aligned with your understanding and also with the approach that is going to be taken up in both the prelims and the mains examination. This series on economics of this is the lecture 1, that is economics 2.0, is going to help you not only to polish but also to revise your concepts. So let's start going. First start with the idea that what economics is. What is the definition of economics? You must have read. Simply speaking, economics is the study of how people and societies they are using scarce resources to satisfy unlimited wants. It is so important. The key words over here is how people and its societies, whether it is African, Indian, or you mean to say Western societies, everywhere there is scarcity of resources. Resources is a very key word over here, and they are supposed to satisfy unlimited wants. And that's how the Lionel Robbins in 1932 is saying economics is the science which studies human behavior. Okay, please do note human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. That means economics policy will shape the destiny of a nation in today's times in the 21st century. And this is the human behavior which is going to guide it. And the relationship between ends, what do you want to do, what Pakistan wants to achieve, what China wants to achieve, and the scarce means, which may be having so many alternative uses, but what you are going to choose is going to decide. My question to you is, which you're going to write on your own and show it to me, is economics more about managing scarcity or about managing human desires? What is more true? Think about it. Bring your knowledge and understanding. So, if we go further, definition of economics is also linked with the fact that if resources were unlimited, I want to ask you, it may be asked to you in the personality test when you appear for interviews, would economics as a subject would even exist if resources were unlimited? As we have just said, that it is more about scarcity of resources and also what you want to do with them. So when we go on deciding the difference between economics and economy, that is where probably more clarity emerges. Economics is a social science as a subject, whereas economy is a real world system. That's what we deal with. Economics is studying the principles, theories, and models. And economy is referring to the actual production, distribution, and consumption. For example, law of demand. Law of demand. You can just postulate, okay, this much demand may be generated. But then when you speak about uh, terms, when you speak about facts, then you can say India's economy is this much. This much trillion is the economy of India today. So economics is dealing with the analysis, whereas economy is dealing with the performance. Economics is what you study day and night through books. Economy is that how you are going to make your time management, how you're going to make your living, how you're going to make sure that your emotions are in control. That is what is economy. So normative, it is normative and it is plus positive. What do you want to do? Normative means that this is ought to be done, and positive, you want to move that, and practical functioning is economy. So that's how basically we can say the difference between economics and economy. Now this question had been asked. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you prelims questions. I'm not going to tell you the answers. You can always think on your own, solve the questions, and you can share with me your performance. So it was in 2011 MCQ, it was asked in the prelims that subject matter of economics is primarily concerned with production, distribution, consumption, or all of the above. And similarly, in 2018 in General Studies paper 3, same question came up. Scarcity is the root of all economic problems. So then you have to be visualizing and thinking on the spot, is India is really scarce in all the resources? No. What about human resource? But is our human resources actually being converted into human capital? So that is why mains examination becomes a very, very smart arena and we have to be ready. Let's go to micro versus macroeconomics. Microeconomics, study of individual units. Micro, household, firms and markets is microeconomics. So for example, prices of onion in India is a microeconomic example, a demand for Ola or Uber rides. Or even when you say that there is more usage of say soya bean or we are more importing edible oils, this is all microeconomics. Whereas micro, study of the economy as a whole. GDP growth, credit growth, Inflation, employment rate, that's all will be a big picture. Unemployment is definitely a very key feature for India in order to grow. So my question to you, which is based on the understanding of your micro and macro, but it is not just that, does the onion price crisis in India, it affects only microeconomics, or does it spill into macroeconomic concerns like inflation? Please do think about it. And one more example I can give you is, for example, gold prices. How do you see that? Gold prices is just in commodity. It is microeconomics, but is it spilling over into macroeconomics? So try to write your own answer. Try to have a deeper understanding and then get back. So this is how we can say micro, household firms, market firms, and then macro. We have GDP, inflation, even fiscal policy. They are all part of the macroeconomics. We keep on saying, you see what RBI says always. Please try to read reports of RBI in the newspaper, what Niti Aayog says, and even our honorable finance minister. When she's speaking about economics, you will get to a link with what we are discussing. Now, a question was there in 2019 in General Studies Paper 3. How did microeconomic reforms differ from macroeconomic reforms? Illustrate with Indian examples. So I would ask you, when we say GST reforms, when we say taxation reforms, when we say banking reforms, where will you put them? You are going to put them into micro or macro. And then how you will link it with the Indian economy which is moving forward. Even you are coming off of the production linked incentive scheme, or even semiconductor, where you are putting up and what. If you are going to write this and you are able to write that answer correctly, we are sure on track. Between households, firms, governments, and rest of the world, who really drives India's growth story? This is my question to you, which I think you must be able to answer so that we can move our conversation forward. Now, economic agents, when we say, what are economic agents? So households are the economic agents because they are the consumers of goods and services. Very important economic agent. Firms are also agents because they are the producers of goods and services. Say, for example, IT industry is a firm. It's a representative example. Say, for example, Infosys. Similarly, Tata, Reliance. Government as a regulator is provider of public goods. Public goods and private goods, there are two different elements. So public goods, very important. Health and education is a public good because it is linked with the welfare of the masses. But then do you think luxury cars is also public good? We have to see. So rest of the world is also linked with us, with the capital flows and with the trade. That's why when US says tariff imposition, we really want to make ourselves strong. We want to create more employment. We want to move on forward with providing services. We want to be self-reliant. So economic agents, there was a question in 2015, which of the following are considered as economic agents? UPSC always asks very basic but smart questions. So household, firms, government, and rest of the world. You have to select the correct answer. Do try to answer this and check your answer and get back. Now coming to mains general studies paper 3 2016 question. Explain the role of household and firms. Household and firms in the circular flow of income in India. We will discuss what is the circular flow of income in India. This question can only be answered when you have been regularly reading and understanding concepts like the way we do, and you are able to write an answer on your own in a unique and a smart way. No mechanical answer can help. Household and firms both are given as a matter of fact as a circular flow of income. So if I ask you three basic economic questions, one is what to produce. What to produce, like food or the luxury cars, what India must produce and how. How to produce is the next question. Labor intensive. Textiles is a labor intensive sector. And then you have capital intensive, semiconductor. What we must go for and why. What is really going to pave the way for growth of India, Viksit Bharat, and for whom to produce. Whether it is rich versus poor or rural versus urban, we have to see. This is what is very important to understand. So three basic economic questions are what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. For example, public distribution system is actually in India is for whom? That is what we would say. So Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act is talking about how. How means how we can. That is why it is labor intensive because we are providing unskilled labor basically. So should India prioritize what to produce based on the global demands? We want to become an export oriented country, or should we have domestic needs first? That is food security and further on. Do try to write and create some points. So Prelims 2014 MCQ was also asking about which of the following best explains the central problem of Indian economy. Best explains what we have: scarcity of resources, unlimited wants, choice among alternatives, or all of the above. So you think, go through the options again and again and try to write the answer. Similarly, how does India's PDS system, as we just said, address the question of for whom to produce? Because PDS is for the majority of Indians. Think about the Food Security Act. Go and Google it. How Food Security Act is so important basis. Why state governments and the central government, they always come up with the schemes whereby they are providing to the poorest of poor, which we are trying to get them out of the extreme poverty. That is very important. But why do you think so? So we were talking about the two sector model. So two sector model means, like the question was saying, household and firms. So household provides factors of production and firms provide goods and services. That's how it is. So there is a circular flow of income. Why? Because you are going to get wages if you're going to work. You are going to take, you it means live, you're going to, take something on rent, whether it is a house or whether it is a commercial property. And then if I'm giving you a property, then I'm going to earn some profit, and then I'm going to earn on that profit. If I deposit that money, if I reinvest it somewhere, I may get interest also. So goods and services, it's a circular economy. So in a two sector model, is it possible to achieve growth without government's intervention? You can say government of India is not at all involved. Do you think so? So two sector model is very, very important. It is the base. That is why you need to read the economic news very carefully and try to bring out some unique examples, and that's how your base can be different from others. So two sector model, as I was saying, goods and services, and then from firms you are, linked with the wages, rent and profit. That's how the economy moves on. That's why Indian economy, we say that it's a self-resilient economy. Indian middle class is playing such huge and important role. If we move forward and try to see a question, then in a two-sector economy, households supply factors of production and firms supply goods and services. Which of the following flows are correct? It is asking. So real flow from household to firms consists of factors of production. Real flows from firms to household consists of goods and services. Real flow from firms to household consists of factor of payments. Real flow from households to firm consists of consumption expenditure. We will be discussing these concepts obviously in detail later, but I'm just trying to tell you that your basic concept clarity is going to help you, because all these key vocabulary is going to create a kind of an impression. If you're going to use this vocabulary in the mains exam, you are really going to score very well. Now let's see need versus research versus greed in India. So need is for basic survival, food, clothing and shelter. That is very important. And research, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, of which US is the leader, China is the leader, India is moving forward. Innovation driven demand. Not just AI and renewable energy, there are other sectors also. Can you think of one or two sectors? You write it in your notebook and show it to me. Excessive accumulation, for example, speculative hoarding of gold in India. But is it possible really we are holding the new gold? No. In fact, the Tanish campaign recently was talking about how you must bring the old gold to the jeweler shop and then you must get in return some more jewelry. So is India's gold obsession a matter of cultural need? उसके बिना हमारी ना शादी होगी ना हमारे संस्कार पूरे होंगे. Is it an economic research, or what is that? It is a plain greed. We want to invest it for future. What do you want to do? So you think about it, and I'm sure a means question can be created. Similarly, a prelims question was there in 2018 about married goods, as we were talking previously. Married goods, those goods which actually uh, drive India or Indian economy in a distributive justice manner on the constitutional lines. Government of India and even private sector, they all strive to do that. So education, healthcare, and even luxury cars. Don't you see any difference between option A, B, and C? So that is why luxury cars will not be part of it. That is why both A and B would be the answer. Let's see in very brief central problems of an economy. If we say about India, we have already said about scarcity of resources. Choice of alternatives is very important for India, whether it is climate change, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is modernization of agriculture, whether it is about fertilizers. Opportunity cost, very important term I'm introducing to you. Opportunity cost, we will discuss about this very soon. Land scarcity in India, that is agriculture versus industry and even home, is very, very important to be seen. Budget allocation, for example, defense versus education, very important, very, very pertinent for India. So if I ask you a question which was there in General Studies paper 3 2014, discuss the central problems of Indian economy. So you can write in so many ways, but the basis for your answer, if it is based on 4 or 5 key fundamental terms, and then you are bringing new vocabulary and new examples into it, then you are there to crack the exam. My question to you is, if India spends more on defense, is it solving scarcity or creating new opportunities? Think about it and write your answer. Similarly, opportunity cost, I just said, it means next best alternative gone. You're doing something in order to get something. So next best alternative gone means that you know exactly this is the opportunity which I will be getting if I am going to invest my time and energy into UPSC preparation. Next best alternative may be that you have left the job which you were supposed to get. So example is 1,000 crore in defense. It may lead to less number of schools. We are not saying that India is actually spending in defense at the cost of schools and healthcare, but just as an example. So two arrows, if we say guns versus butter is an example. There is a question also in those lines. If I want you to if I want to create a visual in your mind, because the question was also there, two arrows you just write down, and then guns versus better, because what is the opportunity cost of India of investing heavily in space exploration instead of rural healthcare had been a question from very long time. But now we had come beyond that. So you think about it, what is the opportunity cost of India? Why India is investing so much in space exploration, and are we doing at the cost of rural healthcare? We will discuss. So opportunity cost, the question was there, as I just said, guns versus butter. Where are guns and where are butter? So this concept is used to explain opportunity cost. That is how it is. Inflation, fiscal deficit, balance of payment, they will not make sense. It is opportunity cost. Defense versus agriculture. If I just make you visualize, that's why I was saying that you just try to create a visual. Similarly, opportunity cost is best described the cost of production of a commodity, including the normal profit, cost of the firm that could have occurred when a different technique was adopted, the cost of the next best alternative foregone. This was one of the options, and the cost occurred in the past which cannot be recovered. In the past, that's why this alternative is not correct. So you have to understand that economics, once you are through with some basic terms, then you are becoming more confident and you will be able to solve it properly. Now let's see the another term, that is production possibility frontier. Production possibility frontier definition: the curve showing maximum possible output combination of two goods with given resources. It's a curve, like two things you are having, and then what is the possibility? Is India going to spend more and more in semiconductor and even in new green cities, or either it want to grow agriculture completely? So India producing wheat versus India producing steel. Now these are production possibility frontiers. Now this question was there in 2016. Explain the significance of production possibility curve in understanding India's resource allocation. Are we doing the right thing? Is the government from the last one decade and more, is it on the right track? The center and state, are they really going to create such avenues for India? Think about UP, a great state. You have got a new Noida airport, you have got Yamuna Expressway, you have got a great Kumbh was organized, and then so many heritage tourism is also being promoted, and then one district, one product scheme, and so forth. So production possibility frontier is a very, very broad concept. You have to keep on bringing it in answers. Organization of economic activities is another very important and the key term. Organization of economic activities, how economic activities are being conducted. For example, centrally planned economy. India was actually following centrally planned economy when we speak about 5 year plans. So decisions majority will be taken up by the government. There will be license raj, there will be permit raj, like the way Soviet Union did. No private participation can be encouraged beyond a point. But now, after 1991, decisions are by the demand and supply, by the market forces. Slowly by slowly, we are moving towards it. USA is an example of market economy. Singapore is an example of market economy. Post 1991, Indian reforms is also an example of India is becoming market economy. China is not supposed to be market economy because it went on to distort rules of law, or you can say basic rules, when it comes to trade in the world. But then it is moving fast and hard. So Indian economy, if I say, do you think it is truly shifted from centrally planned economy to a market economy? Or is it a hybrid model as of now also? Just think about it. So question was there in 2013, which of the following is a feature of a centrally planned economy? Market determined prices, state-owned sources, free competition, none of the above. So look for the keywords and try to solve this answer. In 2018 also, critically examine India's transition from a centrally planned economy to a mixed economy after 1990. What the question is saying? Critically examine. I have already asked you to go through the essay book which had been with you people, so that you can really understand and value of the key terms and words. That is what is important. So key terms, let's see. Consumption, an example is buying rice. Production, for Tata Steel. Exchange, for example, India UAE oil trade or India Russia oil trade. Scarcity, water crisis in Chennai, water crisis in Bengaluru, or you can say food crisis in Sudan, production possibility, wheat versus cotton, opportunity cost, as I just told you, defense versus schools, market like NSE, BSC, market economy, demand and supply driven. Positive analysis, that means what happened? India grew at this rate is a positive analysis. Positive means here what happened, and then you are talking about what actually the output was, however low or high it is. Normative, what we should do. Normative, it is normative. I should get up at this time, I should do this, I must be able to do that is normative. So micro versus macro, as I already gave you an example of onion price versus inflation. So are positive and normative economies, can you really separate them in policy making, or there is an overlap in practice? Think about Ayodhya as a city and think about its economic development. Do you think normative and positive can really be separated? Normative, it is an ideal, and positive, what is there? So a question was there. Positive economics deals with what is, what ought to be, both or none. Think about it, and you will crack the question. Similarly, in 2021, the differentiate between positive and normative economics with examples from Indian policy making. Positive and normative, what we have achieved, how much we are lagging, and what we ought to do, what we plan to do, whether it is women, whether it is water resources, whether it is hydroelectricity, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is renewable energy, whether it is agriculture, whether it is allied sector, whether it is marine sources and so forth. So you have to think from that perspective and try to write a simple answer. We are going to bring up all these terms and ideas in more details and in a more appealing manner in our future lectures. So thank you very much. I'm sure you are going to get yourself introduced with the key terms. You will become more confident in order to use these terms in your answers, and you will also try to change and also correlate your working strategy with the way it must be, and you are going to come up with more and more positive doubts, positive questions and answers, so that we can get success together. Thank you very much and see you in the next lecture.